The rain hammered against the cold concrete walls as a black SUV stopped outside one of the world's most secure prisons. Inside the vehicle sat Ray Breslin, a man feared by prison wardens across America. But Ray was not a criminal. He was something far more dangerous. Ray was a security expert whose job was to break out of prisons, legally. Governments hired him to test whether their prisons were truly escape-proof. He would enter as a fake prisoner, study every weakness, and then escape before the guards even realized what had happened. And every single time, he succeeded. Inside his office, Ray calmly explained his philosophy to a group of nervous clients. "A prison is built by humans," he said. "And humans always make mistakes." The clients exchanged worried looks. Ray opened a thick notebook filled with sketches, guard schedules, ventilation systems, and hidden weak points from prisons he had already escaped. More than 14 maximum security prisons had failed against him. That's why people called him the escape mastermind. One day, a mysterious CIA agent approached Ray with an unusual offer. "There's a prison no one knows about," the agent said quietly. "No maps, no records, no exits." Ray smirked slightly. "Every prison has an exit." The agent slid a file across the table. "If you escape this one, you'll earn $5 million. Ray looked through the documents carefully. Almost everything about the prison was classified. The location was unknown. The guards had no identities. Even prisoners disappeared forever once inside. Something felt wrong. Ray's business partner warned him immediately. "This doesn't look official." But Ray's confidence was unmatched. He accepted the mission. A few days later, Ray was kidnapped as part of the operation and transported inside a dark cargo plane. When he woke up, he found himself trapped inside a glass cell surrounded by steel walls and armed guards wearing black masks. This was no ordinary prison. It looked more like a machine designed to destroy hope itself. The prisoners were silent, the guards were brutal, and nobody knew where they were. Ray immediately started observing everything: the footsteps of guards, meal timings, camera rotations, air vents, lighting systems. Every tiny detail mattered. Then he noticed something terrifying. The prison was built inside a massive cargo ship floating in the middle of the ocean. There was nowhere to run. For the first time in his life, Ray Breslin realized he might have entered a prison he could never escape from. And somewhere in the shadows, another prisoner was watching him carefully. A dangerous man named Emil Rottmayer smiled and whispered, "You're not the only one planning an escape." Ray Breslin spent the next few days silently studying the prison. Every movement, every sound, every guard rotation was stored inside his mind like pieces of a puzzle. But the more he observed, the worse the situation became. The prison had almost no weaknesses. The guards wore masks so prisoners could never identify them. Cameras watched every angle. The cells were made from reinforced glass and steel, impossible to break with force. Even worse, the prison floated in the middle of the ocean inside a giant cargo ship. Escape seemed impossible. One morning, Ray intentionally started a fight with another prisoner just to test the guards' response time. Within seconds, armed officers stormed into the room and beat both prisoners mercilessly. Ray noticed something important: the guards always entered from the same direction. A tiny weakness. Later that night, the mysterious prisoner Emil Rottmayer approached Ray again during mealtime. "You're analyzing the prison," Emil whispered. Ray stayed silent. Emil smiled slightly. "You can trust me. I want out, too." Ray didn't trust anyone easily, but he could tell Emil was different from the other prisoners. Calm, intelligent, dangerous. The two men slowly began working together. Emil revealed that the prison's cruel warden, Hobbs, enjoyed psychologically breaking inmates before killing their hope completely. "No one escapes from here," Emil said. That's what Hobbs wants everyone to believe. But Ray refused to accept defeat. Together, they started testing the prison's limits. Ray secretly used metal pieces from his food tray to measure temperatures near the walls. He discovered certain sections became warmer during specific hours of the day. That meant machinery existed behind the walls. And machinery meant maintenance access. A possible escape route. Meanwhile, outside the prison, Ray's business partner Abigail realized something had gone terribly wrong. Ray had disappeared completely after accepting the mission. No government agency admitted knowing where he was. It was as if Ray Breslin had vanished from the world. Back inside the prison, Ray and Emil secretly climbed onto upper maintenance levels during a staged riot. From there, Ray finally saw the truth. The prison was enormous. Rows of stacked glass cells stretched endlessly inside the cargo ship like a human warehouse. And above them, only steel and ocean. As alarms suddenly began blaring, guards surrounded them from every side. Warden Hobbs himself appeared, smiling coldly. "You're smarter than the others," Hobbs said to Ray. "But intelligence means nothing here." Ray stared directly into his eyes. "Every cage has a key." Hobbs' smile disappeared, and that was the moment the warden realized something terrifying. Ray Breslin was already planning the impossible escape. After being caught on the upper maintenance level, Ray and Emil were dragged to the punishment area, a terrifying metal box where prisoners were locked in complete darkness and extreme heat. The guards called it the tomb. Inside the suffocating box, sweat poured down Ray's face as the temperature kept rising. Most prisoners lost their minds after a few hours inside. But Ray stayed calm, because even here, he was studying the prison. Ray noticed the floor slightly vibrating every few minutes. He counted the timing carefully and realized something important. The cargo ship changed direction at specific intervals. That meant the prison followed a navigation route. If he could reach the control systems, he might discover their exact location in the ocean. Meanwhile, Emil revealed more about himself. "I wasn't thrown in here by accident," he admitted quietly. Ray looked at him carefully. "Neither was I." For the first time, both men understood the truth. Someone powerful wanted them trapped here forever. Hours later, they were released from the tomb barely able to stand. Warden Hobbs watched them closely, expecting fear in their eyes. Instead, Ray smiled. That made Hobbs nervous. Back in the cell block, Ray secretly began building a real escape strategy. Using stolen screws, broken metal pieces, and his sharp memory, he created a rough map of the prison's layout. Every detail mattered: guard shifts, camera blind spots, ventilation timing, emergency response speed. Then Ray discovered the prison's biggest weakness: fire systems. During an emergency lockdown, certain security doors automatically opened for a few seconds to prevent system overheating. That tiny window could be enough. Ray and Emil decided to create a massive distraction during the next prisoner movement cycle. But they needed more allies. Carefully, they recruited a few trusted inmates who hated the guards as much as they did. The plan was simple but insanely dangerous. Start a controlled riot, trigger emergency protocols, reach the ship's control area, and escape before the guards regained control. But one mistake would mean death. That night, as prisoners were escorted through the central walkway, Emil suddenly attacked a guard exactly as planned. Chaos exploded instantly. Prisoners began fighting everywhere. Sirens screamed through the ship. Armed guards rushed into the riot while Ray quietly slipped away toward the maintenance corridors. The escape had finally begun. But just as Ray reached the security area, he heard something shocking through the control room radio. "Kill Breslin immediately." Ray froze. This was never a prison test. Someone wanted him dead from the very beginning. The alarms echoed across the giant prison ship as chaos spread everywhere. Prisoners fought guards, lights flickered red, and smoke filled the corridors. But for Ray Breslin, everything was finally becoming clear. This was never a normal assignment. Someone had betrayed him. After hearing the order to kill him, Ray rushed through the maintenance tunnels while Emil fought off guards behind him. Together, they managed to reach the prison's control section. Inside, Ray quickly searched the navigation systems. What he found shocked him. The prison ship was floating deep in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, completely outside any country's laws. No rescue team could ever find them there. It was the perfect place for people to disappear forever. Suddenly, armed guards stormed the room. A brutal fight erupted. Ray used his intelligence while Emil used pure force. Together, they overpowered the guards and escaped deeper into the ship. During the escape, Emil finally revealed his real identity. He was not an ordinary prisoner. He was the former bodyguard of Victor Mannheim, one of the world's richest and most powerful businessmen. Dangerous enemies wanted Mannheim's secret fortune, and Emil had been protecting information they desperately needed. That's why both of them had been trapped inside this hidden prison. Meanwhile, outside the ship, Ray's partner Abigail and his friend Hush had finally tracked the prison's possible location after uncovering corruption inside the agency that hired Ray. A rescue helicopter was already on its way. But inside the prison, Warden Hobbs had lost patience. "Kill them all if necessary," he screamed. The guards opened fire through the prison corridors as Ray and Emil raced toward the upper deck. Bullets shattered glass cells around them. Prisoners screamed. Sirens howled. And above them, the sound of helicopter blades slowly grew louder. For the first time, hope had arrived. Rain crashed against the cargo ship as Ray and Emil reached the final security gate leading to the upper deck. Only one obstacle remained: Warden Hobbs. Armed guards surrounded the area while Hobbs pointed a gun directly at Ray. "You should have stayed inside your cage," Hobbs said coldly. Ray smirked slightly. "You built the cage wrong." A massive fight exploded across the deck. Emil attacked the guards with brutal force while Ray fought Hobbs hand to hand near the edge of the ship. The ocean waves crashed violently below them. At the same moment, Abigail's rescue helicopter appeared through the storm. Gunfire erupted everywhere. One by one, the guards were defeated. Hobbs tried to escape, but Ray stopped him. After everything he had done, the cruel warden was finally trapped inside his own collapsing prison system. As emergency explosions rocked the ship, Ray and Emil jumped toward the rescue helicopter ladder hanging above the deck. For a terrifying moment, Ray almost slipped into the ocean below. But Emil grabbed his hand. Together, they escaped the impossible prison. As the helicopter flew away, Ray looked back at the massive prison ship disappearing into the stormy darkness. The prison built to be escape-proof had finally been defeated, and once again, Ray Breslin proved why the world feared him. Because no prison on Earth could hold the escape mastermind forever.